Let this sink in for a moment. The lack of financial education cost Americans $450 billion in 2021. 78% of American homeowners are living paycheck to paycheck. And right now, most American homeowners are equity rich and cash poor. That's another word for broke. The media isn't helping you. Schools aren't helping you. And the government for sure isn't going to save you. As a top 1% mortgage professional and seasoned investor, I cannot sit around and watch these life-changing skills that I've learned outside of traditional schooling be unused, untaught, and thrown in the trash can. So until these statistics change, I'll be here every single week, preaching and teaching personal and professional finance, information that you can use in your life, however that looks, whether you are 16 or 60. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Happy Homeowner Podcast. I'm Dan Keller, and I have an incredible guest today. Absolutely, if you're in the real estate or mortgage space or investor space, you know this guy. Needs no introduction, but I created this podcast about 3 years ago for a lot of my clients, new clients coming into, my mortgage ecosystem, working with us and moving here to the Pacific Northwest. And I also created this too with my existing clients, past clients over the last 18 years in mind, keeping you guys up to speed on what's going on in the market. Bringing in investors and real estate agents and very, very smart people that help you manage your journey of home ownership. And so today, my audience today is that, plus any local real estate agent is going to want to tune into this, or mortgage lender, because I've got Mike Appleby. Mike Appleby is a vice president, Chicago title. If you're in the mortgage and real estate space, you know this guy. I look at Mike as one of the most intelligent people relative to law in Washington state that impacts, one, my industry, number two, you as a homeowner or a home buyer. So we got a lot going on here.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially in 2025. Yeah. And we're near the end of 2025, so 2026. So what I want Mike to do today, we're going to have a conversation around a lot of some legislation, some law that is going to impact housing, number one. Number two, this guy is a statistician, in my opinion. He knows market stats better than anyone. And so I'm going to allow him, anytime I see Mike speaking at local events, I'm there, and I learned from King County all the way up to Whatcom County. The guy knows his stuff. So we're going to talk about some market stats too. And we're coming out of the last 3 years of kind of a lot of uncertainty. So if you have been in the market and you've purchased, you're wondering what's going to happen with the market. If you're a real estate agent or a lender like me, we were just talking, Mike, it's been a battle. The last 3.5 years has been a grind. We've had to work 3 or 4 times as hard to maintain the level of business that we've had in the past. And so, one, Mike, thank you for taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
I think we've been working on this for about 2 years now, getting you in here. I've been texting Linda going, hey, I saw Mike on another podcast. I got to get him in on mine. But so I appreciate you coming here today. I'm going to, I don't have, and I got to be careful too, because there are some laws that govern our industries too. I want to be careful what I'm asking you. I think the biggest thing is, let's talk about some of the laws that have been passed that are actually pro-housing, right? Sure. And we'll start with that, and then we'll wrap today in the next 20 or 30 minutes on some market stats that I think anyone, whether you're a homeowner, a future homeowner, a real estate agent, a mortgage lender, you need to know. So bring us up to speed on some of these new laws that are impacting housing.
Appreciate that. And thanks for the kind words. Yeah. I think they say with age comes wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't know about the wisdom, but age comes with age. Yeah. So I can say that I've done it for a long time. So I've had the opportunity to do all of those battles. And the interesting part of this is, and I appreciate the kind words, because you've been so successful in your business that it comes from a great spot.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that in my 30 or so years, I figured out a long time ago that when we were opening title companies, building business, making partnerships, creating opportunities for our clients, which is really what we do, I could see that everything that was going on in land use was politics.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't as much sticks and bricks, although you needed to understand the manufacturing process. But I started investing in real estate probably in the 90s.
Okay.
And I've been blessed 1,000 times over for what I've gotten involved in. And whether it be you're trying to buy rentals or apartment buildings for annuities, that's always a long-term hold, and play the game and quit refinancing all the equity out, just refinance for rate reduction. And that way, we don't get 401ks in our business like we used to, and we don't get retirement plans. So the cool thing about real estate is I can control my future. I control my assets, and I get to control what I'm going to do with them. And at what point in life I get to retire or choose to retire. You'd like to be able to choose to retire with an enormous amount of income. And you do have that ability in real estate.
So I want to really hit pause real quickly. And I don't want to interrupt you, but you said something so profound. I've said this almost on every podcast, that I believe that retirement, the government and society will tell you that retirement is an age. And what I preach to all my clients and anyone who wants to listen is that retirement is not an age. Retirement is a number. And so the sooner that you're clear on that number, what is that number? What do you need to have in investments to live off of that number at 50 or 60 or 70, sooner the better, in my opinion. And so it's really important. So if you go to budgetwithdan.com, you're going to find all free information. You don't even need to put in your name. Free information on how to identify that number. Where do you need to be? Are you on track? But you made such a great point. One of the reasons why I'll speak for free in our industry. I will do anything to get the word out about mortgage and real estate, because the industries that we're in, you're in the title and escrow side of it. I'm in more of the mortgage side of it. It's changed my life, and it's not because I make millions of dollars doing what I do. We have to earn what we make, but it's being connected to guys like you that teach me how to invest in real estate, that teach me how to go out and buy a property where I can put 2 ADUs on there and then sell off each one of those, and then take that money and add it to my portfolio that generates a return, or keep them long term and rent them out. So I think you made right away, you just dropped a huge nugget that's so important. And so we're going to kind of go down that road today. But what Mike's talking about back in the 90s, you getting involved in investing, that's what these industries for me have done. It gets me around guys and gals that are investors and that are getting me to think bigger. Because I was never taught this. I'm from Marysville, Washington. My parents, I love them to death, but they never taught me how to invest, right?
No,
so
I'm on the same page. I'm a Linwood guy. And no, you just, your mom and dad made a living, and you survived and moved on, and there wasn't a whole lot of investing going on. But then again, in those days when I was growing up, real estate wasn't as big a deal, and very few people could get in because they couldn't afford the ante to get involved. So I'm just throwing out there that I understood that my future financially would come down to my ability to invest, and my being strategic and my understanding the market. And so we have one pot over here that is like apartment buildings that say, hey, that's the annuity.
Right.
We just sit and let those percolate, and that's your future income, or the spiking in pricing over 20 some years. And then we have the other side of investing, which is understanding the law changes, or investing yourself in the law changes so that you can help make them happen. And then the change of use. Most of what we've made on investing is through the change of use in real estate. And the fun thing for me has always been that, how can I help my partners in real estate? How can I move them forward? And I took a look at it the other day. I think we've helped connect and allow buyers, sellers, and brokers we've referred about $1 billion worth of business in the last 30 years, where people have gotten connected. And I feel if we provide that type of service, and I shouldn't say service, it's just if you're in the middle of that market, if you're in the middle of real estate, if you understand what's going on and you know who the manufacturers are of products, and brokers that want to talk to you about their opportunities that they've run into through listings, and help those people connect. It's a very simple process to say, okay, for this kind of product, these are the buyer, and for this kind of product, this for that size, you need these larger people. And then we're able to connect those people. And, that's what makes me feel good after 30 years. Not so much, just starting title companies and things like that, but working with people. And I got involved probably about 25 years ago. They put Snohomish County Council back in those days was not user-friendly for our industry. And a couple of council members put a moratorium on building and developing in the whole county.
Okay.
They didn't get to control the cities, but they got to control the entire unincorporated county. And we just went, wow, I didn't realize you guys had that much control that if the wrong people get in, our industry just stops. And so we got a group together. We started putting auctions together to raise money to help people, and we unelected those people.
Okay.
And we got more housing-friendly people. And now, like for example, in Snohomish County, we have a pretty fantastic county council exec, Dave and his crew. We've had over 100 ordinances in a row approved that we've sponsored.
That's cool.
And I've got a couple that I just did that I feel really good about. And so we have a user-friendly, and we spend probably every election cycle. Like right now, guys, we have an election cycle coming up for a lot of city council seats, county council seats. And we put out a housing-friendly list of endorsements. We endorse, we fund probably in the area of in Snohomish County, probably about 50 elections. And we don't get into all the other stuff. It's really fairly simple for us to say, hey, we're involved in housing. And more importantly, my push for the last 15 years has been homeownership.
Right.
I felt that got the targets on its back just because of a lack of attainability for people because of pricing. So we sponsored a lot of things at the state level and locally related to middle housing and related to DADUs that allows just about anybody to take advantage of land use changes. You don't have to be a big player or developer. You can actually take advantage as a small investor. And so we run classes on that. I just had a group of all the DADU guys, ADU DADU guys in the city of Everett, in a meeting on Monday, about 35 guys and the planning director, to go over all the changes that have been made and how they're going to benefit, because we spent about a year trying to get that involved in approval for the city of Everett, which is a natural for this. And then after we did it, we came back in and said, hey, could we amend some things and work on it? And they've been a great partner of ours through this city this last couple of years and helping move this forward, because they are very bullish on homeownership. And sadly, there's probably, and again, I'm guessing on this one because I haven't looked in the last 6 months, but we've got 120,000 people or whatever in the city of Everett. I'd be hard pressed to say that there's probably 60 lots in for approval in the whole city and subdivisions. So we're going to have to create a homeownership through middle housing and DADUs. And the more important part of that is we're going to hit a price range that's not $1 million. Almost all of this product's at about 500 to 600. So that is a number that we can start feeding the public, because when I look at my numbers on who's buying, and I think I ran some numbers here for you, and I don't have that number right in front of me, but the market at about $1 million to $1.5 million in Snohomish County about 4 months ago just absolutely seized up. And I was watching 6 plats through the Mill Creek area, and I think they've had 1 sale in 6 months, maybe 2. But all of a sudden it dropped down to under 900. All of a sudden became our active level of people that were buying. And then in King County, it did about the same thing. It used to be a large number when the median price is about $1 million in King County, in the whole county, including Seattle. That was our sweet spot, was $1 million to $1.5 million. Well, all of a sudden that market's dried up now too. And so it's either lower or over 2 million that seems to be moving. So if you're tracking in the market, you're trying to decide what product makes more sense. What we've been sponsoring for ordinances is what actually the community's crying for, or the buyer's been crying for. Because if I look at middle housing, which is infill, small town homes and things like that, when I look at DADUs, which is 1,000 square feet in most cases or smaller, and it's close to services, it's either made for that first-time home buyer that's been on the shelf for 3 years now, or it's made for that move-down person that wants new construction and goes, look, I want to have some ownership. I don't want to rent anymore. But I don't want to be in my $1.5 million, 3,000 square foot house. So I'm comfortable being walkability, and I'm comfortable with safety level and all the other things that are going on. Kind of a long answer to where you headed, but it kind of wraps everything together. I've spent a lot of time now in the last X amount of years, as well as a lot of other people through master builders and through our other organizations, to advocate for price ranges, but more importantly, to add the ability to condominium the project so that homeownership can be created. Because Gosh, I mean, I guess the best way I can put it is I love my kids, but not enough to move them from the basement to the backyard.
Right.
We weren't going to be successful in creating DADUs and ADUs if it was just a rental.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll do ongoing classes for people to help them understand, especially because if you're in the real estate industry, you don't just have a resale anymore in most cases. If you have CC&Rs of record that limit it to one structure that have already been recorded, then you're locked in.
Right.
But no longer can, state law that we passed, no longer can you limit future development lots, units to just one structure per lot. You have to take that out. You have to allow for the future development of everything you're developing. And that's what we're looking at. So if I'm looking at a resale house in North Everett, I've got to look at that resale house, not so much just for resale, but okay, can I get DADUs on it? Can I redevelop it? How many units can I get on there? Is the highest and best use a single family residence? Is the highest and best use a single family residence with plus 2 DADU lots? Or is the highest use tearing it down and getting 6 townhomes on it?
Jeez. Yeah.
So that's kind of a transition for real estate. But again, the fun part for me is we've been able to sponsor these to put everybody in a position to be a real estate investor.
Yeah. And I think this is so. There was a lot really right there to unpack. This is what I want you as a listener to hear. So Mike puts in a lot of his time and his passion. Your superpower is the behind the scenes with, I wrote this down, that you became really clear that real estate was political back in the 90s, right?
Sadly. Nobody likes to talk about politics anymore. But again, the cool part was we can just specifically focus on for you folks, housing and homeownership, and that's the only discussion we need to have with these electeds or future electeds. Yeah,
and guys like you, though, building community that can go and advocate for us, homeowners, for investors, and having more favorable laws around that. And so there's not a builder or an investor in Snohomish or King County that doesn't know who Mike Appleby is. Just to kind of toot your horn so that if you're listening to this, they go to him for, hey, what are some upcoming changes that we need to pay attention to in 2026, 2027? What's coming down the road that will provide opportunities for us as investors and for homeowners? And so you mentioned something before the podcast that in the back of my mind, at a very low level, I kind of understood what you were talking about, but I wasn't really clear on it. And you mentioned these county comp plans. I want you to explain that to our listeners. Guys, this is really, really important. This is like stuff that happens, at the lawmaker level, at the political level, that you interpret and you advocate for. So explain that to us, and then we'll kind of get more into, all right, at a basic level, what are these ADUs? What are they? What are the changes, and how to leverage those?
Great question, Dan. And Dan's cutting edge on his side too. So he's been able to kind of follow the flow and be able to finance and move into other products with lending, because each time we come up with a new product, there has to be an investor on the backside to buy the loan and to advocate for that product. I mean, we think we're more smarter sometimes than a lot of other states, but the truth is they've been doing some of this other housing changes around the rest of the country. So we just need lenders to take advantage of ADUs and condos and things like that and still finance them. So we're still looking at FHA to try to put that in their picture as well, rather than just Freddie or Fannie or something conventional. But let's talk about a couple changes. I'd love to do that. I know we have a certain amount of time. So I've got 2 that I sponsored here in Snohomish County. And again, the county council here and the exec have been fantastic about, and the great thing about that is they've agreed to partner with the manufacturers of the home, which is where normally if I run into a jurisdiction that struggles with their ordinances or their ability to communicate with us, it doesn't turn out right, and we have to amend them and come back and wrestle over it. But we meet monthly with all these council and planning department, planning people to kind of go over changes that we're talking about so they can assimilate them into their process. And so we've had a lot of help. So recently, which some really cool ones are, in Snohomish County, in the unincorporated area, inside the urban growth boundaries. So understanding what you were talking about, the urban growth boundaries, we just had a 10-year update. So by state law, growth management says that all people that practice growth management, whether they be a city or a county, every 10 years has to do an update on their what I would call zoning in the area. So the Department of Commerce gives them a 20-year projection of population.
Okay.
And then they say, here, go look at all of the zoning you have in your city or in your county, urban growth boundaries, and say, if all those people showed up today, could I house them? Would I have enough zoning to house them? So what ended up happening, guys, is people just got an automatic win because the county had to go through and go, man, we don't have enough zoning. And it's been politically disastrous in their mind to move the urban growth boundaries out because it's a constant fight with the state and the Puget Sound Regional Council. So for the first time since 1990, when they put this in place, basically, we had 288 acres added in down towards the Maltby Road 43rd area, about 200th and 185th on the east side of the urban growth boundaries. And I want to tell you, I was closing a couple 5-acre tracts in there about a year or two ago, and they were selling from about 800 to $1 million. Now those 5-acre tracts, depending on their wetlands or their usability, I'm in somewhere between 5 and 10 million.
Wow.
That's how fast it moved. But that's the first 288 acres of any size that's been added to our lot supply since 1990 when they first drew the map. And we've been wrestling for years trying to get them to expand and fight and wrestle. We had 3 areas this time. They only agreed to 1. So I guess what I'm saying is inside the line, then they took huge areas, like all the way around Mill Creek from I-5 down to past Martha Lake from 128th to 164th. They took that whole area and went from 4 to 6 units an acre to 6 to 12 units an acre. So they doubled. And so if I'm building 3-story skinnies detached, I can get about 8 or 9 an acre on there. So I automatically got a huge win just by the county saying, here's additional zoning, here's additional units. I didn't have to go fight for it, but trying to get it rezoned again to a higher density in the next 10 years, good luck.
Okay.
That's going to be unbelievably difficult. And then down be the kind of the Bermuda Triangle there where I-5 and 405 meet, about half of that entire area down to the county line in the county in unincorporated went to medium density from low density as well. So there were some areas. Now remember, the cities have gone through and done the same thing. So they did their 10-year update. They took their 20-year population projections, and everybody has theirs approved now. By law, they had to have it done, I think, by January 1st of this year.
Okay.
Some of them have stretched out, like Snohomish County, and I think Marysville drug it out a little bit further. But then on top of that, guys, we, for the first time in probably 20 years, we've been knocking on doors with the legislature and the Senate, trying to get them to be more housing friendly for us. Homeownership friendly. I'm going to go there on this one and say, hey, what are we doing? So what most cities and counties were doing was, look, we don't want to go in and wreck with the neighborhoods or go in and mess with the neighborhoods. So they just went to high traffic areas and gave us like 6 to 8 stories. And just threw all their density on apartments. But think about that for a minute. They're telling an entire generation, we want you to rent an apartment. We didn't do anything. So some of these other ordinances we did get finally passed did help create homeownership. Here, like for example, City of Everett. I want to say that Broadway, not our best Chamber of Commerce picture, and all up and down Evergreen Way. I think the height was 4 stories.
Okay.
They came in and changed all those property owners and gave them 15 stories.
Wow. Okay.
So overnight, they just drew a picture and put a different color on the map and said, from that street, 1 block over on either side, you can do 15 stories now.
Wow.
So as you look forward to 10, and Everett did the same thing a few years ago in downtown. They took the square mile downtown that we're sitting in and went to 25 stories. Now, we don't have any of that. They dry up all of Colby for tenants, but those opportunities are now there. They want to say, hey, we're a modern city. But the changes, I would say, on top of the comp plan, now remember, we're not going to get another shot at just free zoning. We're not going to get another shot at that for 10 years.
So that's why I wanted you to talk about how important this is. And when you mentioned comp plan to me, I'm thinking like income, I'm thinking revenue. The comp plan is that comprehensive zoning plan, right? It's you get one shot at this. And so what I'm hearing you say is Snohomish County was like, all right, we're going to work with you guys. And that's largely due to people like you putting some pressure on them. And then we're going to go over some statistics here in a minute, getting data and statistics in front of these lawmakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think some of the changes, if you were talking about the legislature side, we had the rent cap come in.
Yep.
I shouldn't say nobody. Most of us didn't want it, but then they kind of maxed it at like 7% a year. And but then your notification process and a lot of other things have changed. But if I could get 7% more a year,
Sure.
I'd be more than happy. But we don't work that way. We had some other commercial buildings into residential zones, but you can't change the use. It would have to be residential underneath to be able to do either.
Okay.
That was a state law.
Yep.
A lot splitting passed, which means that it's kind of an administrative process that if you have one lot, you want to turn it into two. And if it's the zoning, you can automatically get it, and it should be gone through in a just administrative, quick short plat process,
Yep.
which is fantastic, because let's look at what it really did. So let's say that I have a house and I want to split it into two.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened with the ADU ordinance and middle housing means that all of a sudden, depending on your population, like 0 to 25,000, 25 to 75, 75 and above, if all those comprehensive plans are connected to each other, then I automatically got a density bonus on top of the comp plan update.
Right.
So let's say that I go in and I have a single family lot that is 10,000 square feet and I have a house on it.
Yep.
So I want to go in and do a quick administrative short plat. Well, then if I'm in the city of Everett, I could get 6 units on both sides, and I could get 12 units automatically there. So also, though, I could take the house and put it on one lot, get 2 more DADUs, put a house on the other lot and get 2 more DADUs. Guys, there's no land use to this stuff. It's all building permit. And that was what we were trying to stress, is we cannot spend 2.5 years doing a 2 and a 3 lot short plat.
Right.
No investor has the money to just sit there and grind through that. We want everything, and we're working with the city of Everett to streamline some of these processes so that we can get DADU permits and built inside of a year. So I want to be able to get a pre-approved DADU plan fixed at the city of Everett, go in and buy the plan, get my utilities worked out, get inside the ground in 4 months, which we can't right now, and then get 6 to 8 months to build. And so I can turn my money inside of a year constantly. And that's an investor-friendly market. And we'll get there with them. It's just going to take a little time for them to update. So between middle housing, so for example, if I had 0 to 25,000, I can get now a duplex on every single family lot. So that takes me in South County from a $350,000 lot that I can put a duplex on that I probably would have had to been $1.6 million for my new construction house.
Right.
Well, now I can put two 2,000 square foot or 2,400 square foot look-like houses from the street. And put them on there, split it with a condo, and sell 2 houses that are a little under $1 million. And all of a sudden, my margin has gone up at least 50%. And then also I'm hitting a price range that more people can be in. So that's one of the things that happened just recently. Also, if I'm 25 to 75,000, I automatically get 2 units or 2 lots on there, and I can get more units if I want to do affordable, but we can't find a way to make that work. So we just kind of passed it. But on 75,000 or more, which is basically Seattle, coming up on Shoreline, ourselves in Everett, cities like that, we can get up to 4 units if we're within a quarter or half a mile of a major transit stop. But again, we worked with the planning department and the council in Everett and got them to go, look, let's not stop at 4 and 2 affordable units because nobody will build them. Let's just go to 6, and we won't have to argue and fight about the jurisdiction and how far we are from the bus stop. So Everett gave every one of you guys that don't have CC&Rs on your lot, they gave you 6 units. And I can fit a 6-pack of townhomes on there with 6 carports off the alley. I can make it work. And because they also helped us just on an amendment here lately that said I can go up to 35 feet, no longer 29. So now I can get 3 stories. And I can do 60% lot coverage by the structures. So I could literally build a duplex off the alley on a 30 by 30 pad and still have a 1-car garage on either side. I mean, it works, you guys. And we've just proven that we can get somewhere between 5 25 to 600,000 for some of these DADUs that we're selling. And I looked at it the other day. There's 6,000 lots in the city of Everett that qualify.
Wow.
For DADUs.
So there's huge real estate agents listening to this, huge opportunity. Clients of mine that want to get into real estate investing, you're saying this, and I'm telling you firsthand because I'm involved in this, it can be done and it's a lot easier. It's more mainstream.
I thought what really was a plus, because I saw an appraisal the other day, we keep telling people that, hey, depending on the area you're in Everett, if you're off an alley, that we think a duplex lot that's been condoed, like another, the house goes on one lot and then there's 2 lots off the alley.
Yep.
Right now it's taken about 50 feet wide to do that. The appraisal came in at about $150,000 for the duplex lot off the alley.
Okay.
I can become a paper developer. I can keep the house.
Yep.
I can continue to rent it, or I can sell it. I can just sell those lots off on the alley now to one of the group. Right now the market's slow, but in a normal market, I can take that. It's going to cost you about $10,000 or $11,000 to record the condo.
Okay.
Get the map and plans together, get a condo declaration and everything, so people can become paper developers.
Yeah.
Here's another one though. Let's say that I'm out in the county.
Yep.
And they're taking advantage of some of the changes we've done. So if I'm in unincorporated Snohomish County, I get a 9,000 square foot lot. I've got sewer, water.
Yep.
I got to work out the utilities. I put a duplex on the front, 2,000 square foot units. I put in Snohomish County, we get 1,200 square foot for a DADU, so like a real 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah.
And so then I can put 2 detached DADUs on the back that are 1,200 square feet. I cut it into a 4-lot. Condo.
Yep.
Record it. I have 4 sale units in a price range that doesn't have to be $1.5 million.
Right.
I can be under $1 million on everything.
Yep.
And again, 1,200 square foot houses with 2-car garages in the back. I looked at the lot coverage. It works. And I'm trying to do an amendment to that ordinance with the county right now and say, hey, a duplex is 2 residences. Why won't you give me 4 DADUs? 2 DADUs, because that's what the state law says per residence, and 2 DADUs for the other one. So think about this. I wouldn't even have to build those. I could work out the utilities, get them designed. I could record a 4 or a 6 unit condo map and sell that to someone as a recorded getting ready to build project.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't even have to be the guy that gets my feet dirty.
Yeah.
I can actually prepare these for a builder or a client that would build. And that was the whole idea of spending all this time on these ordinances, so we could find a way to maximize and build a product that fits under $1 million. Yeah. So those are some of the changes. And then in the rural area, which I was excited about, and then I'll jump back to you. We were the first one, Snohomish County. I was able to get an amendment done with the ordinance through some help, obviously with Master Builders and our Snohomish County Council again, helping sponsor it, where if I have a 5-acre tract right now, all I can do in the R5 zone is build 1 house. Yep. And I'm probably going to be $1.8 million, something pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
So now, though, I could go out to somebody that has a 5-acre tract and a house out there and said, look, you use a half an acre. Let me condo off 1 acre or a half acre. I'll put another house on that up to 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
3-car garage, 3-bedroom house. I could probably sell that for about $850.
Yep.
But remember, no land use. I'm just condoing off a half acre.
Okay.
I just have to get, I could use a joint party well. I can use a private water PUD water source. I have to get a septic and PUD worked up. And so now I literally am doing a short plat in 3 months. In an area that you couldn't short plat before. So now if I'm buying 5 acres for $400,000, I can cut it off and build my big house. Yep. Put on an acre over here, let's say 4 acres, I put the big house on. 1 acre, I put the small house on. And now I have 2 profit centers on 1 lot. And I can hit another price range. I need our small builders to take a closer look at that because there are 8,500 lots in Snohomish County or in the 5 to 10 acre range. And it's another opportunity to take a little tweak in land use for smaller developer builders to get involved in this process because it's not land use, it's strictly a condo. So now you know kind of a lot of where we're headed. But
this is crazy. So if you're a client of mine listening to this, or if you're listening to this in general and you're sitting on a home like a property like that, 5 acres, R5 zoning, and you've been told, I can't really do anything with this. This is where, reaching out to me And what I tell my clients, let's just do a strategy session. What I like to do is I like to normally take some notes, see what your goals are, maybe introduce you to a real estate agent to gather some info, and then we get it in front of Mike and his crew over at Chicago Title, and they can really, hey, this looks like you could pay. Yeah, this looks like you should do X, Y, and Z next. And so the other big hurdle that I hear a lot of people, I call it an excuse or a hurdle, coming to me with is, well, I don't have the funding, or I'm not an investor, I don't have a bunch of money saved up. Friends, I live in this community. I'm in the mortgage space. We loan money. And so there are options for a lot of these. I have a client right now that just bought a place in Everett. He and his wife, this was about a year ago, they bought it with intent. So they bought a home in Everett, 5% down. It was right around $750,000. So do the math on that, under 50 grand in. They've lived in it for a year. They've kind of tuned up the property. It's in front of you guys now, and it's in front of getting site plans on it. They're building 2 DAD or ADUs on this particular property. So now we have the funding for that in-house. There's other banks, local banks, if we can't do it, that we can introduce you to. So don't let, even if this is something that you want to do and you want to zoom out, like Mike said at the very beginning, and start looking at retirement, this is one of the ways where updated zoning, updated legislation is allowing for people to do this. This isn't just for big builders and wealthy investors, right?
The whole idea was we're going to have to do infill if we can't expand urban growth boundaries. And I would say that probably we sponsored the townhome ordinance in Snohomish County, I don't know how many years ago, but if we had 3,000 units in the system in Snohomish County, we had 0 townhomes a while back.
Yeah.
And now under this new ordinance, I would say 40% of all the single family construction is about townhomes now.
Okay.
And if I were to look 4 years out, I'd say 65% of all the new construction in Snohomish County, knowing that urban growth boundaries aren't moving out, and we've burned up most of that real estate, I'd say 65% of our new construction is going to be townhomes. So this product kind of fits where we have to go.
Yep.
And again, I can help them get to consultants that can do that. But it's more along the lines of, I think it's easier to be an investor now. Mm-hmm. And I would tell you over and over again, if I look at how the market's performed, even in these 3 tough years, I think the state of Washington finished in the top 10, has about 50% increase in the median price in just the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then over the last 40 years, it's gone up 828%.
Wow.
How do you not perform in that? And I got another one. So in the next 20 years, we're supposed to add 1.6 million new citizens population in the central Puget Sound.
Yep.
So think about that for a minute. In the next 20 years, we have to build 2 Seattles just to house the people that will be coming here or adding to the population, and we aren't moving the urban growth boundaries.
Right.
So we are double, triple decking, stacking people on top of each other. Anybody that buys real estate with a 10-year plan, I always look at anything you're going to be good at is effort and strategy.
Yep.
How much am I willing to do, and what is my plan to get there? I truly believe now that, for example, if I wanted to own a house on a 5-acre and I wanted too much for it, well, if I peel off an acre over here, something on a 4-acre or 5-acre lot is going to sell for the same. So if I peel off 1 acre and I sell it for $150, I guarantee you, because I know the math, that builder's still going to make $250 off of that $850 sale on the small lot. He'll do that deal because I have no land use. I have 3 months of a survey, some condo docs, and some septic and water, type utility type thing to work out. I would believe a seller would do that, and I could believe a buyer would buy that kind of product. And more importantly, if you're just buying rentals, understand the city. Like Stevens, we're having a little trouble with right now because they want, remember, these don't require frontage improvements. The state doesn't allow for that. The only thing that nicks us is CC&Rs. If they're already there, we can't develop it. But again, Lake Stevens, we're going to have to work with them to change because they want frontage improvements. And the city of Edmonds left their lot coverage at 35%, which makes it really hard to get 3 units on there. But most of the rest of this cities are playing ball, and they moved along because they understand the homeownership problem.
Yeah. So when people ask me, hey, Dan, I don't know if now is a good time to buy. The market seems like it's challenging or it's pulled back a little, which the data will show that it hasn't. This is what I lean on, exactly what the pros say, what stats and data, and people can interpret this information, what it means. So Mike, super valuable information. I'm going to leave you with this. So arguably the best hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, said one of the keys to his success as a hockey player and in business is he never skated to the puck. He skated to where the puck was going. Mike just spent 30 minutes of his time letting us all know where real estate is going in Snohomish County. Now, I want to say that we've kind of followed suit with King County. So this is already happening and doing quite well in King County. And so if you have any questions on this, I want you to reach out to me. This is super valuable information. If you're a real estate broker working with professionals like myself that are in tune with these types of legislature and these guidelines and zoning is really important. I want to make sure that I'm not stepping on anyone's toes with insurance commission, but boy, I'll tell you what, Chicago Title is a heck of a title and escrow organization. I encourage you to reach out to the pros over there for any questions that you have on anything real estate, zoning related. But in closing, I just want to say thank you for your time. It was 30 of the most impactful minutes I've had in a long time.
I feel like I don't have to be really smart to make money. I just need to understand a couple of things in real estate. But you've been cutting edge on this too. Yeah. I know you've been involved in all the new construction, and you understand the products that are necessary and what the buyers are needing. So kudos to you as well for kind of making sure you stayed up on top of what's going on and having your company be in the front as well.
Yeah, well, Mike's superpower is this stuff exactly. He doesn't go out and dabble in 100 other things. This is what he does. So I appreciate having the opportunity to sit with an expert. Hey, we'll see you next time on the Happy Homeowner Podcast. Like I said, in the meantime, you need anything or have any questions on this, is what I am here for. I'm here for you. Bye for now.
Thanks for your time.